Plugins. They're really cool and not as hard as you might think to make. We're going to start basic. So what we're going to do today is create a plugin, and we're going to pop a button up there, and it's going to print something on the output. Now, I know that's simple, but once you see that you're just making another GD script, and you can do whatever you want, I'm sure your imagination is going to run wild. I also want to shout out Zenva for sponsoring this video. Zenva Academy offers easy-to-follow beginner and intermediate courses for game development with Godot 4, including a fantastic free introductory course that you can check out right now that covers all the basics to help you get started. As a paid Zenva member, you get professional video tutorials, written lessons, and interactive quizzes. You'll work on real projects building games in different genres like open world, RPGs, and first-person shooters. And if you have interests beyond the Godot Engine, they have courses on Python, Unity, Unreal, and other tools. A subscription includes a 7-day free trial, and the first 50 subscribers can use my link in the description to get an extra 20% off the first year. I'm just starting from an empty project. We're working from Godot 4.2.2. And the first thing we need to do is go up to the project settings and go to the plugins tab. And there's a neat little button right there. It's create new plugin. Create a plugin name. We're going to call this my awesome plugin. You're going to have a name for the folder. We'll call it my awesome plugin. Description. This is awesome. The author, which obviously that would be you. You can type in your version, what the language is, in our case, GD script. Now, if you're using a mono or added in other scripting languages, you can pick your own. And then the name of the script, which is going to be my awesome plugin. And we'll activate it, and we're going to create it. And what it's going to do is it's going to add a add-ons folder, which is the default space that you should be putting any add-ons or plugins. It's going to have your plugin name, which is my awesome plugin, and it created a script. Now here we have an enter tree and an exit tree. Enter tree is whenever you enable that plugin, and exit tree is whenever you disable that plugin. It's important that when you disable your plugin, you undo whatever you did, or the engine is going to get a little bit confused. The first thing we'll do is add a button up here at the top, and then maybe we'll also do a tab, because they're a little bit different settings, but it shows you what you can do, right? Before we do any scripting, we need to create a scene, actually. And this is going to be a control scene, a user interface scene, because this the entire engine is working through control nodes, really. And once you have your scene, let's go ahead and save that within our plugin folder, and let's add a button for this. We'll add a texture button, and then for our texture, let's pop in the Godot icon. So there's our button, ready to go. Let's pop it up there in the toolbar. So we'll go back to our script, into our enter tree, and we need to preload that. Now the first thing to notice is that we have this tool setting here at the top. This script, now you may have some scripts within your own game that have that tool at the top. It just means that this script can run within the editor, not just the game. First thing we'll do is create a variable. We'll call this variable toolbar. And when we enter, whenever we enable our plugin, we're going to preload our scene that we created. So we're going to preload my awesome scene. And now we instantiate it. Now toolbar now equals that scene. So we've created our toolbar reference. Now we're going to use the add control to container. Now within the Godot engine, there are tons and tons of containers, right? Here's our enum of all these containers. And it's just different locations within the editor. It just means we can put stuff in different places. We're going to be using the container toolbar. Feel free to experiment and use other ones if you want. Just in this case, we're going to use our toolbar. Then we need to know what control scene we need to add, and we're going to be adding toolbar. Now we've created it. Now when we exit it, we need to remove it. So we do remove from container from toolbar and our toolbar scene. And then now that we've removed it from that area, we need to delete it. So we do free, and that's it, really. Now let's go ahead and test. We'll go back to our project settings, and we will disable that, and we'll enable it. Now you might notice you're not seeing anything. We have to make a couple more changes. Okay, so let's go ahead and disable that. Let's go into our scene. At least in the toolbar, it's a little odd. You got to move this over. So let's move that over a little bit to the left and enable. Now you'll see that our button up there is popping up. Now we have our button up in our toolbar within the editor. We can add some functionality, and we can do that in the same way as if we were, working on our game and making a script. We can go into our texture button here. We can add a new script, and we'll add it into our plugin folder. We'll just, texture button is fine. And remember, because we're in the editor, we need to add our tool line. So let's make it whenever we click our button, we print something to the output. Let's make a function, call it test. And whenever we run test, we will print yay. And when we're ready, let's go ahead and get our press signal, connect, and connect our test function. So whenever we press, we run our test. Save that. Make sure we are using a tool. The one thing about plugins that's a little bit of an annoyance is that you gotta disable and enable it for it to reload. There is actually an add-on, I can't remember what it is, that you can just do that more quickly within the editor as a shortcut. But all right, we've enabled it. Let's open up our output and click our button. And you'll notice down at the bottom, we have our yay printing. So what does this mean? Well, it means that you can do anything you want within GDScript. You can alter nodes, you can alter things within your scene, and you can do it within that script. Basically, you're making your own custom UI. So very, very useful. Let's do the same thing, but let's move this down into the bottom. Remember, we had some options when we added control to container. Let's comment those out, and let's do a different. Let's add controller to bottom panel. We'll add toolbar, and then we need a string. Let's call this my awesome plugin. So we've added it. We need to remove it. We'll do a remove from bottom panel and toolbar. Save that. Now what's going to happen is this thing is going to pop down here with all these other options. Disable, enable, and there it is. And nothing is showing up there because we've thrown this way off into the left there. So let's save that, disable, enable, and there it is. So you may have seen plugins that have that bottom panel and they're making use of it. That's how you do that. You can also add it to a doc. You can create your own doc, like we have the inspector tab, or you have your scene or your file system. You can create a plugin and make a doc for it. So let's do that real quick. We'll comment that out, and we'll add control to doc. Now you have a bunch of different options for the doc, just like you had for container. And let's do bottom left, okay? So it's going to show up right over here by our file system. Then we need our control. As always, we set it to toolbar, and when we disable, remove toolbar. Save it, and disable, enable, and there's our doc. So there you have it. And then you can also make it floating. Simple, easy. You can extend the functionality of your game engine and add shortcuts to whatever you're working on. And it's so easy to do. All you need is create the plugin, create the script to run and disable the plugin, and throw a control scene up there to add some functionality, and you can create whatever scripting setup you want within that control scene. Again, this is the basic level, because you can really do a lot of really cool things with this. For example, within my setup, I'm jumping into the editor settings and getting and setting and adjusting and doing all that stuff, because you have access to a lot more than you think you do within the editor. So thanks for watching. If this was helpful, let me know in the comments, leave a like, subscribe, and I'm going to pop up the example project on my Patreon, and you can check it out there. So as always, thanks for watching and keep creating.